welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for round 11, I believe it is now. Round 11 it is indeed. Round 11 of EIR Season 1. We are at the wonderful Silverstone circuit in the heart of England. And hopefully we'll have our first drivers out on track soon, as we have two coming down the pit lane just now. We only have 11 for tonight. Unfortunately, some last minute cancellations for Reese and Despair, so they will not be joining us this evening. But your main title antagonist, Albini, he's here. Sinful Chris is here. Light Shock also here. So a good chance for people like Havoc, maybe Hunt as well, if he can get some decent pace. Long George, I don't think I've seen yet personally, so I'm not sure what his pace is. So there's a decent chance for some other drivers to pick up some decent points today with some of the top runners out of contention for today. The only is a sprint weekend, not a sprint weekend, sorry. It is a normal short quali, and then we have our 26 lap 50% race afterwards. Well, we will go on board with, I believe it is going to be Tops, who's just about to pass Apollo. It is indeed. So we'll jump on board with the Red Bull man. We'll see what sort of laps he can do since he is the first one out on track. For anyone watching in chat, we'll get your quality predictions in early. We'll see who can get close enough. Who's going to be on par for tonight. Oh, they're switching back. How lovely. How lovely. We'll go back to Apollo. They're keeping me on my toes already. We are back with Apollo then, our league owner, as he flies his way through Stowe and into Vale to start what will be the first lap that the drivers have to contend with, that number 95 McLaren. Through turn 18 of Club, and away we go. Well, he doesn't have his ERS on, so might be a second warm-up for him, and his teammate is right behind him on track, so we'll jump to Albini afterwards, excuse me. As Apollo then into turn 3 of Village 4 through the little loops that they have just before entry and the Wellington straight, the first DRS zone that we have on this track, just coming up to the end of sector 1, and it is a 28.6 for the first sector as he comes in towards Brooklands and Luffield, holding a nice tight line through turn 7 of Luffield, up and out of turn 7 into Woodcote of turn 8, and up to one of the best corners on the F1 calendar overall. Flying through Stowe, holding it in 8th gear, no downshifts necessary for our league owner as he hurtles his way in towards Maggots, flying through turn 12 in towards Beckett's of 13. Nice and tight, little bit wide and not using as much of the exit curve there on the left at Chapel as he heads down the hanger straight into the start of sector 3, braking just at that little 50 metre board as the curb starts that you have there on the outside of Stowe. Again, not using much of the exit curve there at that corner, braking just at that white line there to signal the pit entry at Vale through 17 up towards Club, and the first lap that the drivers have to beat today will be a 29.6. We'll jump on board with his teammate as he absolutely demolishes it by 3.3 seconds and does a 26.3. Tops will be next up to the line, and he splits the two McLarens that we have and does a 28.0. Havoc up to the line does a 26.5. That's a very, very good lap to be that close to Albini right off the bat. It's a good lap from Havoc. We'll jump on board with Light Shock now as he's on those yellow walled medium tyres, using a lot of that inside and outside curb through Stowe as he heads in towards Vale and in towards 17, using some of that curb on the entry of 17 as well, using as much as he can, getting the power down nice and early through Club up to the line. It's a 26.2. So he manages to jump Albini. His teammate is just behind him, Sinful Chris. I think he might have invalidated. He did invalidate his lap, I'm pretty sure, but he might be going again just to get one on the board. That's a very, very good sign for Light Shock to already be about a 10th, just over a 10th up, I think. Just under a 10th, sorry. My math is not mathing today. Just over a 10th, there we go, we got there eventually. On the harder compound of tyres. I think Albini might be gearing up to go again. Brad comes up to the line, does a 35.1. That's way off the pace for him, so he'll be going again. Gangster Al a 35.7. There's more time in his lap as well. Lucas Aid up to the line. I think he's just starting a lap where he invalidated. Might have invalidated halfway through. He'll be going again. I think George also done the same. So there's a lot of people getting caught out by the track limits early on as Albini goes into the pits. I think Chris is going again, but I don't think he's going to have enough ERS or fuel to get a yellow flag for him running out of fuel down the hanger straight, so that will be him into the pits at the end of this lap as Light Shock goes through again. I'm not sure if he'll continue his lap. It does say he's about 6 seconds down as he does indeed pull into the pits. We'll go back with Brad and we'll see if he's improving at all on his lap time as he flies his way through the quick left right of Maggots and Beckett's at the end of sector 2 into sector 3. It does say he's nearly 10 seconds up on his lap time here, so he is looking very good for a shot at the top 3 through Stowe. Then here he comes. I'm using a lot of that exit curb, which is what you need if you want to try and conserve as much of your speed as you can through that lovely quick right hander. Doing the same again on the exit of 17 through Club and up to the line. It's a 26.8, so he tucks in just behind Havoc in P4. We'll go back with Gangster Al, who does improve and does a 28.9. Lucas Aid has managed to keep his lap valid this time. He jumps Gangster Al and goes up into P6. I think Long George will be the next one up to the line if he can keep it valid. I think he's invalidated that one again. I'll double check just to see, but that's... In fact, we'll jump on the incidents, that'll be quicker. Oh, and that's a lot of invalidated laps. Oh, naughty. How many is that? 5? 6? That is 6. And it's only been... it's only been 8 minutes. So... some of the drivers maybe just testing, seeing where the limit is, maybe try to figure out what lines they can take, what ones they can. All playing maybe a wee bit of mind games at plays well. You never know with these guys, you never know. Never know. See if anyone else is actually on a lap, or a proper lap. I think Long George might be the only one. As Lucas Aid gets out of the way, he has run out of ERS, so I think he might be in at the end of this lap to put on a new set of those Redwald soft tyres and go again. As Brad comes into the pits in that Aston Martin at the front. Gangster Al, I think that is following him in. It is, and George potentially in. No, he's going to keep going. So he's going to try and just get a time on the board that will be a very long way off, because he has run out of ERS, so it won't be representative of his pace. But up to the line, and he manages to go P5. Fair enough. I take back what I said. Fair enough. Destroying the commentator's curse and doing it the other way and telling the commentator to shut up. So in his 3-lap old softs, he's only about 1.5 off the lead with no ERS, so that's not that bad a lap time from the lone Ferrari driver today. We'll go back on board with RSF1 Hunt 22. We'll see if he can get his first lap on the board on a new set of mediums. So he's managed to, I think he's taken the softs off and he's going to go again. And see if he can get anywhere near. We've got an Alpha Tower which is moving out of the way for his sake as he comes in towards Luffield, getting a wider line so you can get the power down as early as you can. Out of Luffield, up through Woodcote with the old start-finish line up towards Cops. And it's flat out. Wow, it's such a lovely corner. When you get it right on the final quality lap that you need and it just hugs the apex nicely, it's really nice to get right. But that's a little bit offline through... Oh, and that's an invalidation as well. So going a little bit wide, getting marbles on the tyres, it's cost him a little bit, so he'll recuperate his losses and go again, or he might pull into the pits. We'll see what he can do. We'll jump on board with your championship leader, Sinful Chris, as he comes down the Wellington straight just out of turn 5 of Aintree into sector 2, just at that 50 metre board once again. It's a purple sector 1 as well, as he comes in towards Luffield and up towards Woodcote, keeping it nice and tight, holding it very, very well, using that exit curb as much as he needs to. Up towards Cops then. Holds it in 8th gear, down to 7th. So a little bit different than what we've seen so far. Hope putting it down into 7th gear, but he does hold it flat. Here we go then. Through Maggots and Beckett's turn 14 off Chapel, using a lot of that exit curb, making sure all the momentum that he's got carries through. It wasn't a purple sector too, so he might slot just in behind his teammate if he can keep it valid. Through Stowe, that's a big slap of oversteer through that long right hander. He manages to keep it pointing the right way, so he's kept it very, very well. Managed to hold it in a straight line, but up to Club then through turn 18, and it's only a 26.4. So he slots in behind 4 now, but with that slide that would have cost him a serious amount of time, which is not what he'll be wanting. So there's definitely improvement in a lot of these laps that we're seeing. This will be Brad's first run on the soft tyres, so expect a major improvement from him as he comes through turn 4 of the loop and in towards entry to the first DRS one that we have down the Wellington straight. At DRS wide open for I think it's about an extra 30 kilometres you get from it. The DRS open down the straight. He's only about half a tenth up just now. So either his medium lap was very, very good, or he's sandbagging a little bit. His light shock has managed to find, I think that was about nearly, what, about 7 tenths? And has done a 25.5. Apologies for missing that one, I forgot he was out on track. We'll go back on board with Brad as he runs a little bit wide through Cops. He manages to keep it valid by lifting off a little bit, but through Maggots, Beckett's, and in towards Chapel at the end of Sector 2 into Sector 3. He's still only about half a tenth up. So maybe the soft tyre's not working on that Aston Martin with the setup that he has, using a lot of that inside curb through Stowe and in towards Vale, just at that white line. Once again holding it in 3rd gear, letting the car rotate through that corner at low speed, using loads of that exit curb at the outside of turn 17, and it's just about a tenth improvement, but it doesn't gain him any places, but he does nudge a little bit closer to Havoc ahead. Light Shock is on an in lap, and Long George will be starting a lap, so we'll jump on board with the Ferrari drivers. I'm going to grab a quick drink before he starts his lap. Oh, the joys of Pepsi Lime, it's wonderful. Oh, excuse me. So then, Long George, can he hold ones with no ERS? That he done his lap on as he heads down the Wellington straight. Will we see a much bigger improvement from the Ferrari driver, and it's 3 tenths up already as he heads in towards Luffield and just out of Brooklands, holding it nice and tight, being a little bit tentative on the throttle through the corner, not wanting to use too much and have a heavy right foot and spinning the car out in towards Cops, then holding it nice. Oh, that'll be a bit wide. It is, but he gets away with it for lifting off, and it's not an invalidation, but he's saying that's not good enough, I'm going to back out and I will go again. I think Hunt is behind them on an out lap, and we'll see if anyone's coming out of the pit soon. Brad just coming in, pardon me, for finishing his lap. So that will be Brad hopefully being able to get another set on and going again. Apollo is back out on a set of softs. Hunt is invalidated on his out lap. Doesn't a very good sign for the Aston Martin driver, but in towards Vale in turn 17, holding a wider line to get the power down as early as he can and carry as much speed as he can through turn 18 of Club. So we'll ride on board with the Aston Martin driver through turn 1 of Abbey. Oh, that's a bit wide, he's had to lift off and he's been caught on the marbles. Oh, and that's a collision. Oh, Havoc getting caught out a little bit coming out of the pits, and then Hunt just near enough forgetting to turn coming out of the pits, and now he's going to have even more traffic with Lucasade not budging off the racing line. So Hunt, I think he's going to be down on his time. In fact, this will be the first lap that he sets if he's managed to finish it. But that might be subject to a steward's investigation there. That was a wee bit close. It's only quality, lads. It's only quality. Lucky not to spin out either. But in towards turn 9 of Cops, using as much as that carbon entry as he can as he flings that green Aston Martin through turn 9 in towards 10. 11 of Maggots, number 12 unnamed, gets caught out by that wide line again, getting a little bit of marbles on that right hand side front tyre, but he has managed to keep it valid this time. I think this will be his one and only lap. He's not using any ERS, I have just noticed, but he's going to have a little bit of traffic here with one of the Alpha Tauris. He might back off now and then turn the ERS on, as he has, as you can see that yellow bar at the bottom of your screen that's slowly depleting. But up to the line then, can Hunt get anywhere near? It's a 30.1 for him. We'll go on board with Long George and we'll see if he can improve. He can by nearly a second, and it's still not enough to move his position. Feel quite bad for him there, that's quite harsh. We'll jump on board with our championship leader then, Sinful Chris. We'll see if we can actually watch his lap this time and I don't miss it. That was Albini, not Albini, Light Shock. Oh, I'm losing it. We're losing the plot already. But at the end of Sector 1 then, Sinful Chris nearly 2/10 up on his lap, which is what he needs to try and half the gap to Light Shock up front to try and steal pole position away from his teammate through Woodcote, then up through the old start-finish line that we had about 2007-2008, through turn 9 of Cops, downshifting into 7th again, holding it nice and tight. That was wonderfully done from our championship leader. Through turn 10, 11, up to 12 of Maggots, 13 of the unnamed corner, Beckett, sorry, through 14 into Chapel, and he's still only about 2/10 up, so it won't be enough to slash the gap that he's got to Light Shock up front just after that 50-metre board. Once again, using a lot of curb on entry, manages to keep it pointing in a straight line, this time breaking just at that white line once again for Vale. Up to the line then, is he able to knock Light Shock, his teammate, off pole position, up to the line, and he can't get close, he's 2/10 away. So now, over to Albini and Light Shock. Are they able to get a lap on the board? Not on the board, but trying to increase the gap a little bit to Sinful Chris behind, as we've got some guys just starting their laps just now. I believe that was Lucasade finishing 1. Tops is also up on his lap. Havoc, I think, has just finished his, and he's up to P3. That's a very, very good lap from Havoc, as his quality session is done, and Long George's session is also done. So we'll go on board with Light Shock, then he's only about half a 10th up on his lap, just at that white line, once again, in towards 16 of Vale, 17 of the unnamed, into Club, round the final corner. Can he improve? He can by 2/10, and it's a 25-3, over to you Albini, over to you in the McLaren. Can he get near, can he get on the front row, can he find the time that he needs, using a lot of the exit curb there at Stowe, just at that 50-metre board, in towards Vale, through 17, in towards Club, then can he do it, can he break the 1-2 that Alpha Tauri have up to the line, and he just slots in behind by the smallest of margins, and he's not quite close enough to get onto the front row. We'll go back behind them and see if anyone's on a lap. Lucasade is, I think he's been impeded there, or no, it's his last lap, that is him done for the session. Chris also pulling into the pits, and Havoc has finished his lap as well, so that is it. That is it. The ball flew by before I could get a proper word in, and that is them done. As Chris does retire in the pits, I believe Havoc will do the same, and then we are just waiting on Hunt and Mr. Lucasade, and there you have it. Done and dusted. Very quick 18 minutes. Gone and gone. Another Alpha Tauri 1-2 then, as Light Shock leads his teammate Sinful Chris on the front row in P1 and P2. Albini unlucky just to not split them in time. Not that far off either, it was only about half a 10th in that, which is literally a braking zone, and that is it. Havoc, another very, very good lap from him, talking just in behind the top three. Brad in P5, Long George in P6, that's good for him. It's Tops in P7, Apollo in P8, Hunt P9, Lucasade P10, and Gangster Ow in P11, pardon me. Oh, and it's very cloudy. That is a very, very cloudy and rather muggy looking Silverstone. As we look across at the new pit building that we have. Wonderful track, wonderful build there. It's complete. It's brilliant. I do believe we have formation lap on and we will be going at about past roughly. So it won't be long, but it'll be interesting to see, have any of them saved tyres for the race? Have any of them, is there rain on the way with how cloudy it looks? We saw a little bit of cloud coming in Austria last week as well, but that did stay dry. But this is a lot more grey looking than it was in the Styrian Mountains. But 26 laps ahead of us, it's only a 50%, no sprints this weekend unlike last week. Track distance of about 5.9 kilometres, roughly just under 5.9 kilometres per lap. A 127.0 track record from Verstappen in 2020, so there's another record that he's broken. We can tick that one off the list. And for those that don't know, or somehow don't know, Silverstone being the old RAF base that it is, I think it's the Wellington Straight that used to be the runway. It's one of them. It's either the Wellington or the Hangar Straight that used to be one of the main runways that they had during World War II for the old RAF base that we have. And then fast forward in a wee bit through time, about 1950, hosted the first Grand Prix ever for F1, birthplace of this wonderful sport that we all love and sometimes hate, myself included last night after Ocon's DNF. That was not fun. 18 corners, 10 to the right, 8 to the left, clockwise flowing circuit, 145 mile an hour average speed. It's just a wonderful track. It flows so well. It's wonderful to do hot laps around. Even if you're bored and you just want to drive backwards around it, it works so well for that as well. It's one of few tracks on the calendar that is genuinely complete. I think it's this, Monza, Belgium, maybe Imola as well. I think they'd be my top 4 for just some of the best tracks on the calendar. The flow, the speed, some of the skill that you need to race around it, they're just lovely. They're just really, really good. There's only minutes, well, not even minutes, just 1 minute to go until we see the strategies. We have a bit of a mix-up like we had in Austria last week as well. There was a lot of different strategies in play. I think most went for a 2-stop at the end, with I think it was only Havoc that tried a 1-stop and he missed out, unfortunately for him. As we wait on the drivers readying up, we can get a look in on the strategy. We can even see, I think, if there's rain on the way, if depending on what tyres they went on as well. Because I don't think softs last that long around here. I don't think I've actually raced this track yet on the game, but I think in past games the softs died very quickly, and they were not the best race tyre to be on. So. Wait and see as it does tick to 29 past, so the driver should be readying up just now because I have run out of facts So we definitely need them to get going, and they do. They've heard my prayers. They've heard my prayers. As we get underway for the formation lap, then we'll get all the stuff up that we need, and we'll check if I can remember how to. The tyres, we can see what everybody's on. So Light Shock going the opposite of his teammate and going for the mediums. Sinful Chris on the hard, Albini also on the hard, Havoc and Brad on the hard, Long George on the mediums. So he'll be one to watch out for on lap 1, and we'll see if he can jump Brad or Havoc off the line. Tops on the White World hard tyres, Apollo and Hunt, possibly going for the same strat since they usually sit in parties together during the Grand Prix. Lucozade on the hard tyres as well, and then Gangster Al at the end of the field also on the hard tyres. So the two Red Bulls on the same strategy, the Aston Martins on the alternate strategy, and then the two Alpha Tauris up the top also on a different strategy. And the McLarens, forgetting where everybody is. We'll leave the intervals up, we'll keep the position changes on for the start as we get a nice little AWS race strategy graphic pop up. So the hard's doing about, I think that said about 14-15 laps. So the mediums should be in about lap 12 or 13. So if Light Shock can build the gap that he needs in that amount of time with this track, sometime I think Chris called it a bit of a big DRS train basically. I think his words were, in that he doesn't really enjoy it that much and it's just a big DRS train, but hopefully we can get a little bit different from that today as Light Shock then leads us onto the grid for the start of this Grand Prix. Sinful Chris just lagging a wee bit behind. He's got the rest of the field behind him as the last couple of cars coming through turn 17 now. Light Shock then, no disqualifications. Chris just a wee bit outside his grid box, but he gets it done. Nothing there. Albini also fine. That is a very, very weird angle. As Hunt's been disqualified, and Tops as well, and Gangster Al. There we go then. As we wait on them loading in, as we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. Light Shock getting a brilliant start off the line. He's already ahead and clear of his teammates. Albini's looking for a move round the outside into turn 1 of Sinful Chris. Can't quite get the move on that one by Havoc into the fray if he can get alongside, but he's not quite close enough for the move just yet. Light Shock then managing to stay ahead of his teammate for the time being. Sinful Crystal getting a better run out of the loop and onto Aintree. Down the Wellington Straight we come then. Light Shock managing to stay ahead, but Sinful Chris pushing him every step of the way. Havoc having a little look on Albini in towards Brooklands and Luffield, but so far they have all managed to survive 8 corners. Well done, lads. Well done. Doing us proud. Everyone managing to keep it clean so far. Sinful Chris managing to stick with his teammate even on those worn down, not worn down, sorry, but harder White World hard tyres. He's gaining a lot through the twisty section of Maggots and Beck. He's dipping a wheel onto the grass just to try and get close to his teammate. We'll jump back to the tyre tab so I can remember what everyone is on. I think we've got Havoc looking for a move round the outside in towards Stowe, potentially going for a switchback on Albini. Does manage to get alongside in towards Vale. Albini holding it on the inside, runs a little bit wide again. Havoc trying to then go around the outside through 17, but he's not quite close enough. But he's all over the back of that McLaren, not close enough for the move in towards turn 1. We'll see if he can maybe get it done in towards turn 3 at Village. He is alongside, he's using a lot of his ERS just to be ahead. He lines up the move, nearly contact between them, but Albini not close enough for the angle to get it done. We'll head now through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. We'll see if he can try and get the move done here again, but all this fighting's going to invite Brad into the fray, who is just behind. I think Albini dipped a wheel onto the grass there as well, which isn't good for him, but all this fighting is letting these two at the front break away. It's already nearly a 2-second gap between Sinful Chris and Albini up the front. We'll stick on board with Havoc just now as he's looking the most likely to make a move. Sinful Chris managing to stick with his teammate just behind that gap, now down to about 2.5 tenths. Havoc not alongside yet for a move through Maggots and Beckett's, getting caught up in the dirt area and running a little bit wide. I think Long George managed to get past Brad through Stowe. It's a very impressive move. Well done to him. As we head towards the end of lap 2 and on to lap 3, they're all keeping it fairly clean. Nobody wanting to make a move. That might be a brake marker board that just got annihilated through Stowe. Is Havoc close enough for the move? Yet not close enough. He gets a wee bit greedy on the throttle, nearly spins the car out there. Wouldn't be good for him. Sinful Chris though, fastest lap on the hard tyres, which is not good news for Light Shock, as Hunt has already picked up 3 seconds for making up his own interpretation of the track. We'll stick on board with these two for now. Is Sinful Chris looking for a little bit of a switchback through the loop, through Aintree onto the Wellington straight. DRS wide open. Is he going to go for the move on his teammate? Yes indeed, he flitches to the inside line as they come in towards Brooklands and Luffield, and Sinful Chris does manage to get the move done, and Dusty does. Havoc's also managed to get past Albini, so he's now up onto the podium. We've got Brad and Long George going side by side out of Brooklands through Woodcote as well, but Lightshot hasn't managed to make the tyre choice that he went for, his strategy choice, work, and his teammate on the harder tyres is already ahead, and it's only lap 3. It's not quite worked. Albini's now picked up 3 seconds as well. So a lot of them already struggling with these track limits, but is Lightshot going to fancy the move again in towards Stowe? He's already going to be ahead by the braking zone. I think Sinful Chris trying to hang it around the outside, but that track slowly but surely falls away. He's going to possibly eye up a move in towards Vale, not close enough, and wisely backs out of it, so there's not a collision. Albini has managed to get back past Havoc down that hanger straight as well, but Chris is absolutely pushing his tail. Oh, Chris has made a mistake. Lightshot back ahead. I'm losing the plot. I'm losing the plot. Oh, so is Chris as he dives down the inside at Village. Not close enough there, and he wisely backs out of it, possibly going for another switchback. Oh, and it's a remontada all over again. Here we go then. Is Lightshot going to defend the inside this time and learn his mistake? No, he's not. He's going to let Chris simply fly by as they head into Brooklands, try to hold it around the outside, but he's not going to have the pace required for that. There is fights absolutely everywhere, as Albini and Havoc are going side by side again. Long George has managed to get back past Bradford again. Albini back ahead of Havoc again. It's only lap 4. It's only lap 4. That might have been a warning for Chris there. That looked a little bit close to the track limits. We'll stick on board with Lightshock as they head through Beckett's and in towards Chapel, down the hanger straight. The DRS wide open again, and he is using his ERS as he desperately wants to stay ahead of his teammate with the tyre advantage that he have, and this time he is already ahead by the time they get to the braking zone. We'll go on board with Havoc as he goes down the inside at Stowe at turn 15. Is he alongside enough for the move? He's pushing that McLaren all the way, trying to do a quick flick left to right and dummy Albini in towards Vale, but he's not got the pace for it. Nearly lost the back end of the car there as well, so he's not quite close enough to make a move. The two teammates are going side by side through turn 1. Chris having to take both of them having to take avoiding action. Chris cutting turn 1 just that little bit. Lightshock running wide and going all the way off, but they're fighting so much it's not even affecting the guys behind. We'll go back on board with Sinful Chris again, and I don't think any of them got DRS that time. I'm not sure how that's happened, but none of them have any DRS on each other. Havoc not close enough for a move on Albini into Luffield and Brooklands, and Brad has managed to find his composure a little bit and keep Long George behind them for now. We'll go back up to these front two, then this might be a Red Bull Baku all over again. Oh, that's a bit close through Cops. They're almost contact through that fast right-hander. Havoc's man eyeing up a move on Albini in towards Maggots and Beckett's, but he wisely backs out and he might get washed away by the dirty air again. We'll go back on board then with Sinful Chris as he's now burning all the battery that he has, looking to the outside of his teammate in towards Stowe. Is he going to try and hold it round the outside, and he gets the move done. Very, very good move from their championship leader. Havoc try to go down the inside once again on Albini, and this time they are side by side as they come in towards Vale. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get to the braking zone? Albini still on the inside, manages to just hold on to that final spot on the podium, and all this squabbling has now invited Brad into the fight, and he'll be sat there licking his lips, rubbing his hands in the cockpit of that car as the back of Havoc's car is now blinking, which means he has no ERS left. None of them have much. Albini sitting pretty on 68, Lightshock on 64, and Sinful Chris also in the mid 60s as he's using a lot to try and break away from his teammates, saying, I don't want to fight this anymore, this is a little bit daft. We'll go back to the fight for the final spot on the podium. Does Havoc fancy a move in towards Luffield? Not close enough. Just in towards Brooklyn, sorry, now they're going into Luffield. Not close enough for the move just yet. Brad getting very, very close to the back of that Mercedes. Again, runs a little bit wide, having to counteract for Havoc, breaking just that little bit early. Tops is just sat here just thinking, if all these guys collide, I'm with a shot of a podium if I can stick within the 3 seconds that they have. They don't need to fight this hard, they can sit behind if they want to, with Albini having his 3-second penalty already. We'll jump back on board with Lightshock and we'll see if he fancies the move on his teammate. His teammate not using any ERS, as you can see that Alpha Tauri getting closer and closer, but he's not close enough into the braking zone. But someone who is close enough is Havoc as he tries again down the inside at Stowe, holding it nice and tight, little bit of wheel banging through the corners. Will stick on board with the Mercedes driver, and now is Albini trying to brake late, and he misses the opportunity that he's done for the last couple of laps. There's a little bit of contact, he's pushing them off the track. Havoc gets a massive hit of oversteer as they're all getting caught up. Oh, and Brad spins round. Something had to give eventually, and there it was. And there it was, George braking a bit early as well, trying not to get caught out in all the madness. Go back on board with Lightshock, but I don't think he'll be close enough for a move yet into Brooklands. Not close enough yet. Back on board with Havoc as he could have fancied the move, and he might just sit behind and conserve his ERS for a little bit. George might possibly do the same, but that's so unfortunate for Brad. So unfortunate. He was right there, right in the battle, and he's just been spun at the wrong time. I think everybody got caught out, being just with Havoc having his little wiggle out of the last corner, and it just all concertinaed up, and someone had to go, unfortunately. Back on board with Lightshock, then he's managed to cut that gap by about 2 or 3 tenths as we head onto the hangar straight. Then we might have another change for the lead. And see, he comes in round the outside, and Sinful Chris not even fighting it, just letting him go, plain and simple. They don't want to fight this early on. We'll go back with Havoc again. Is he going to fancy another move down the inside at Stowe? Oh, and that's another big bit of contact. Having a little bit of a wiggle, and I think he's let Albini back through and realised that that contact was a little bit unfortunate, so I do apologise. You can have the place back as George gets a big hit of oversteer there as well through 17. We'll go back on board with Sinful Chris as they're heading through Farm Curve and into Village and the loop of turn 4. Still sticking within that 1 second DRS range of his teammate. Neither of them able to break the gap that they have. Lightshock not using any ERS to defend. Sinful Chris not using any DRS either. So I think he does have it, definitely does have it. He's just not choosing to use it. But someone who is using it, Havoc, down the inside at Brooklands. Albini trying to get a switch back in towards Luffield, but he can't get the move done, and Havoc back on to that last spot on the podium. Apollo is back into the pits. I think he did pick up a 5-second penalty, excuse me, for speeding into the pits during all that fighting that was going on. We'll go back on board with Sinful Chris for just now then, and we'll see if he fancies the move through Stowe. He's not using any ERS, but he does have his DRS open this time round. Lightshock's just a little bit, he's down into 50s now on his ERS. Albini using all the battery that he's had saved, swoops around the outside of Havoc into Stowe, gets that move done nice and early, and he's back onto the last spot on the podium. Long George just sitting behind for now and biding at his time. Havoc desperately needs to try and regain some ERS here, because it's just not working for him currently. He's not got enough to properly fight and keep his position. But Light Shock, as we head on to lap 9, managing to stay ahead, but he will be into the pits in about 3 or 4 laps, I think, roughly. Which means he'll hand the tyre advantage that he has now to his teammate. I think Chris was using a little bit of his DRS there, but here comes Havoc again. Looking for the move into Brooklyn's down the inside of Albini. Will switch back to the McLaren to see if he can get the switchback on. Oh, and that's contact. That'll invite Long George into the fray if he can get the power down early enough. He's not close enough yet at all for the move. It will be Havoc who once again takes the last place on the podium. They're just playing past the parcel with it at this point. They're just playing past the parcel. They're loving it. They're absolutely loving it. But I think that is Apollo up ahead, just moving out of the way of the leaders. He's not wanting to get involved in this massive fight that they have going on. Paul managed to stay ahead, but we see Albini then to the inside through Stowe, manages to get the move done once again, but Havoc's going to fancy the switchback if he can get the power down quick enough. ERS on. Albini gives him the space, but he quickly positions that McLaren perfectly in the middle of the track. Doesn't give Havoc or even Long George a chance to get past, but he does have a massive hit of oversteer through 17. Is Havoc going to fancy the move into turn 1? He wisely backs out for now, but will he fancy the move through Farm Curve and in towards Village? Not close enough yet either. We'll go back on board with Sinful Chris and we'll see if he fancies the move on his teammate. He does have his DRS open, having a little look on Light Shock in towards Brooklands and Luffield, but again not close enough and sticking behind for now. Does Havoc fancy a move to take back P3 on the podium? He sticks his nose in, but Albini gives him the room, and I don't think he had the overspeed needed to get that move done. As they head out of Woodcote, Chris is absolutely pushing his teammate through. He's pushing him through every single corner at this point. They've been fighting over and over the laps. The lead swapped more times than I can count. At this point, I've lost count. You see, is he going to go for the move this time? DRS wide open on the back of that AlphaTauri, and he flies past his teammate, and Sinful Chris retakes the lead on lap 10 of 26 of this Grand Prix. Light Shock staying out for now. Havoc not quite close enough for him out. He dips a wheel into the gravel in towards Stowe at turn 15. Not close enough for a move. It is still quite cloudy, but no sign of any rain on the way as the sun is still beating down on this old RAF base of a racetrack. We'll go back on board with Light Shock then. In fact, never mind, we've got a battle for P8. Brad fighting his way back through the carnage that he has to get through to get back to about, I think it was about P5 he was in before we had his incident, and that's him ahead of Lucasade and into P8. We'll see if Light Shock, I think he's a wee bit behind to even go for a lunge, as Chris is already through the corner as he gets to the braking zone, so he's slowly breaking that gap to his teammate behind. Here comes Havoc once again down the inside at Brooklands. Is he going to get the move done this time? There's nearly contact between him and Albini as Albini flies around the outside to keep that position at bay, and he does manage to stay ahead once again. These two have cost themselves 10 seconds, or cost themselves about a second a lap, just fighting over and over again. It's not good for their race or their tyres, but I think Havoc does know he doesn't need to fight this position as much, because after the pit stops, or near the pit stops, as my voice is dying, he will have potentially a podium with Albini's 3-second penalty that he has. Light Shock staying out for now, but those mediums slowly but surely fading away as Chris has a big moment in towards Club, manages to keep a point in the right direction again, so that setup maybe not working for our championship leader. George running a little, he's getting caught on the curb, he's being caught everywhere, he's getting caught on the curb as he half spins through turn 18. We'll go back on board with Light Shock as they head through Abbey and onto the Wellington Straight. I think he is just sitting behind and biding his time, gaining his ERS back, and then going for a push lap when he does want to pit as he's sticking with his teammate in towards Brooklands and Luffield. Back to Havoc then as he now makes his way down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. Not close enough for the move, but he still has absolutely no ERS. Does go for a little bit of a late lunge on Albini, but he's not close enough to get the move done. See if Brad maybe fancies to move on. His teammate Hunt ahead, but he doesn't have the DRS that he needs. Long George has nearly fell out of the DRS of these two ahead. We'll go back on board with Light Shock and we'll see if he wants to come in at the end of this lap, since it is nearing that time. He does have his DRS wide open. He's not using any ERS to try and get past his teammates, so he's just slowly pulling him along, not wanting to be caught out or lose any more time from fighting. Will he peel off to the right into the pits? He does not. He stays out for another lap. Havoc not close enough for the move again when Albini threw Stowe, so there's no dives down the inside this time. And there we have it, our first to blink. He's picked up 5 seconds for speeding. Oh, it's all come undone. It's all come undone as Brad has managed to get past Hunt at the back as well. So Havoc thinking, I'm going to get off these tyres early and I'll get onto my fresh mediums, but that 5-second penalty that he now has is potentially ruined his chances of a podium. But he needs the outlap of dreams to try and get ahead of Albini. He was right behind that McLaren when he came into the pits. We'll switch to the gap for the leader so we can see what the gap from them is. It's about, was that about 29-30 seconds? But Havoc on his cold tyres, and I think he's got stuck in traffic here as well. He might get some DRS. He has managed to get DRS, which is good for him, so he'll need to get past Gangster Al immediately, and he does so as he flies past in the braking zone down the inside at Brooklands. Hunt managing to stay with Brad as he's been slowly towed along. Light Shock potentially looking for the move, but he also stays out. So some of the mediums going longer than the hards, and some of the hards going longer than the mediums. They're all switching about. I feel like half of them are just guessing at this point. This is what it feels like. But Sinful Chris then into the pits. Albini also responds to Havoc behind. We'll go on board with Havoc and we'll see where he gets in. We'll see where Albini rejoins and we'll see if Havoc is anywhere near him. Should be quite close. Tops also pulls into the pits as well, but Havoc on those fresh mediums will now be up to temperature as well. Is he going to be anywhere near where he needs to be? Is Brad going to actually jump Sinful Chris here? Here's another one that might cost Chris some precious time that he needs. He does have the cold tyres, but I don't think he's close enough yet. But here comes Havoc down the Hamilton Straight. Has he jumped Albini? If you look for that McLaren, there's Albini there, and he has managed to jump him. So Havoc blinking first has managed to get ahead of Albini, and he is now net P3, but he does need to break he needs to break about a 2-second gap if he wants to keep that final spot on the podium. The Havoc's looking for a move on Lucozade. Is he going to get it round the outside potentially? Through Luffield, through turn 7, gets the power down nice and early, uses that curb on the exit, and he does in fact get the move done. That's critical for his Grand Prix, because now Lucozade can hold Albini up just that little bit. Light Shock has stayed out for another lap on his mediums. Chris has put on a fresh set of mediums also as he's setting a purple sector 2 as he goes. Albini has managed to get past Lucozade as well. Pardon me. We'll jump on the race director and we'll see what the warning situation is for people. So Light Shock only has 1. I think Sinful Chris definitely is on 2. Definitely. Brad on only 1 so far. Havoc 1 away from 3 seconds and has his 5-second penalty. Albini 1 and 2. That's weird. So he should be on 6. I don't know if I've missed that one, but he should be on 6. Havoc now setting the fastest lap as well. When Havoc picked up... No, he didn't. That's his pit. Oh, I'm losing the plot. That is his 5 seconds. Okay. So the top 2 managing to keep it relatively clean, but I think both of them are about 1 or 2 off from picking up a 3 seconds. Albini should be on 6, but it's counted 2 as 1, I think. And he's not got it, but he's also 1 warning away from 6 seconds. Havoc just needs to try and keep it relatively clean, but both of them just have no ERS at all. They've both been pushing that hard. Chris has managed to take about 2 seconds out of Light Shock ahead as he does pull into the pits. The Sinful Chris will take the lead of the Grand Prix, and Light Shock should come out relatively comfortable ahead of Hunt, who's still yet to pit as well. But I don't think Havoc or Albini will be troubling the top two any time soon. We'll stick on board with Albini as he's looking to get the move back past Havoc. Here he comes in, down the hanger straight, not using any DRS. Havoc using as much as he can to try and stay ahead, down the inside, through Stowe, manages to get that move done, slam the door shut in front of Havoc, and he gets the move done, and he's now up into net P3, is into P3 now. Is neither of them anywhere near Light Shock, who does now come out the pits, and he's on soft. Now, this one I'm not sure on, because I've not raced this track yet, so this might be one I've not seen. Hunt has done the same. This might just be a strategy I've not seen. They're pulling out everything. Here comes Havoc again then. Is he going to try for the inside or the outside? He's going for the outside through Brooklands. He's not going to be alongside enough, so his plan there not working. Albini covers him off fairly well. As Gangster Al comes into the pits, he's put on a fresh set of mediums. But now the one to watch is definitely to watch that gap between Light Shock and Sinful Chris. Currently it's about 4.7, so we'll check back on that in a lap and we'll see if Light Shock has managed to gain anything on his teammate. He does have a lot more ERS than him, so he is able to push a lot more and maybe get a fastest lap in the extra point going his way. We'll see if Havoc can get the move done in towards Stone and do his signature move down the inside. I don't think any of them are using any ERS, and he won't be close enough for a move yet as they fly through Stowe, keeping it all nice and tidy, no track limits, no penalties just yet. But Light Shock in that last sector has already taken out, I think, about 3 10s, now 4, with a purple sector 3 to match as he hurtles his way through turn 1, 2 and into 3. It's now down to 4.1 as well, so we might see another battle for the lead unfold, but the latest battle just now is for the potentially the last spot on the podium, which Brad could have been in with if it wasn't for his incident at a few laps earlier. We'll go back on board with Havoc then. Is he going to try down the inside into Brooklands again? Albini covers that outside line very, very well. Down the inside goes Havoc through Brooklands. He's still alongside that McLaren, taking the wider line to try and get on the power a wee bit earlier than Albini, but it's just not going to work out, and he's not quite there, and he's using even more battery just to try and stay with Albini then as they head in towards Cobbs, and he's looking to the inside. That's never a good idea. We've seen what Verstappen and Hamilton could do. Let's not have another Merc crash through Cobbs. Let's not do it. Let's not do it. Light Shock is now down to 2. He's taken nearly 2 seconds out of his teammate, but has he burned out those tyres already? In fact, never mind, we'll go on board with Havoc again. He's looking for the move down the inside at Stowe, and he gets shuffled out a little bit and gets stuck on the curb and has to lift off before he spins. Light Shock sets a new fastest lap of a 27.2, which is about 1.6 seconds quicker than what his teammate has done so far on his mediums. He's slowly but surely clawing in that gap, getting smaller and smaller every lap, but he needs to be careful that he doesn't burn those tyres out too early and then has nothing left to play with at the end. I think Chris is just sat saving some of his ERS for this battle at the end. We'll go back on board with Havoc as Apollo picks up even more penalties to add to his woes, but the only one not scoring points as it stands. But Havoc, slowly, he just needs to try and stay in the DRS and not use the easy RS as much when it's not a DRS straight, because that's what's costing him just now. Because if he had the ERS to fight, I think he'd be able to break the 1 second and then potentially get ahead with the gap that he needs. But if Albini picks up another track limits, then all he needs to do is finish within a second of Albini and he will take the last spot on the podium. And that's if no safety cars or anything get in the way. Light Shock's managed to take the gap down to 1.8 seconds, so it's plummeting even more every lap. Havoc just managing to stay in the DRS of Albini. Long George has slowly dropped off this battle as he is on a harder compound of tyres, so he won't have the same pace as the two ahead of him. But on to lap 19. It is still Sinful Chris who leads the way from Light Shock, now only a second and a half behind his teammate Albini, about 12 seconds back, and with a 3-second penalty as well. Havoc with 5 seconds for being a naughty boy and speeding into the pit lane. He's still using his ERS down the straights, which isn't what you need. The DRS does the job for you, my man. It does the job for you. We'll go back with Light Shock just now as he's 1.2 away from Chris. As I get a much needed drink. You can just see how much he's back in a second. Oh, and Havoc's picked up 3 seconds. Albini can breathe a sigh of relief. As now that last place on the podium definitely looks his. We'll go back on board with Light Shock for just now as we get a nice driver's shoulder camera angle through Vale and in towards 17 and 18. As we head on to the start of lap 20 then, Light Shock doing a different strategy than his teammate. Is it going to be enough to get the win that he needs and claw back the gap to his teammate ahead, as the gap is very, very large at this point. But we'll stick on board with him for now as he dives onto the Wellington straight through Abbey. Is he going to fancy the move here, or is he going to wait for the hanger straight out of Chapel and into Stowe? Not close enough for the move, so he's sitting behind now. Both of them saving a little bit of ERS, not using as much as they need to. Havoc, son, turn the ERS off. Turn it off, just conserve. Have a nice wee ding-dong battle, just conserve. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. Light Shock then. Through Cops, turn 9 in towards 10 and 11 of Maggots Beckett's. Lifting off a little bit just so he doesn't bump his teammate up the gearbox. Chris getting a little bit out of shape, but here he comes in. Chris is going to be powerless to stop. He's not even using any ERS to defend. He gives him a little bit of a squeeze and a nudge towards the grass, but he's ultimately powerless to stop Light Shock powering through around the outside and getting the move done before they've even got to the brake boards, never mind the braking zone. At Stowe, and he moves into the full points paying position of P1. We'll go back with Havoc just now as he's getting a wee bit closer to the back. Oh, and now it turns again. It turns again as Albini picks up a 3-second penalty, and if Havoc hadn't picked up his 3-second penalty, then he would have been in with a shout of having a podium finish with only a lap to go. I don't think Chris is going to fight his teammate much for this. He might just wait on Light Shock's tyres slowly dying out and then going for a move on the last couple of laps as everyone else is very, very spaced out. It is literally the battle for the podium places, which is what we want to see. Chris saving some of his ERS. Light Shock's used a little bit more down the straight. Havoc starting to lift and coast in towards Brooklands and Luffield. Not close enough for a move in either corner, so he might just start saving up and go for a move on the last lap. We'll jump on board with Sinful Chris as he makes his way through Maggots and Beckett's, and we'll see if he fancies a move down the hanger straight. As the juice is now officially finished. I don't think he'll be close enough for a move into Stowe, and he's not, so we can't get that move done just yet. We'll go back on board with Havoc and Albini as Albini's using as much of his ERS as he can out of Chapel just to try and get that little bit of boost that he needs down the hanger straight to keep Havoc behind Sinful Chris, still within half a second of his teammates. The Light Shock's tyre advantage isn't working as much as he needed it to. He tried it at the start and he wasn't on the pace with Chris on a softer tyre, and now he's done it again and Chris is still sticking with him. So we might have another last lap battle for the lead. We had it in Saudi, we had it in Bahrain, we might have it again at Silverstone this evening, as Chris getting awful close to the back of his teammates through Brooklands and through Luffield. We'll go back with Havoc and we'll see if he fancies a move on Albini. I don't think he'll be close enough for the move again, so we'll go back to this battle for the lead. They're so close. With only 4 laps to go of this Grand Prix, we'll see if we can get the move done through Stowe and on the hanger straight if he fancies it. Here he comes in, using that exit curve at the exit of Chapel. Is he? He is using his DRS, but he's not using any ERS. Here he comes in. Is he going to fancy the move on his teammate? He looks to the inside, but he backs out just before Stowe and sits behind again. We'll go back with Havoc and we'll see if he fancies the move on Albini, but Albini just using that little tactic again, just picking up, getting some ERS deployment just out of Chapel to give him that little boost that he needs down the straight. Apollo might play a bit of a part here and give Light Shock some DRS. I don't know if he'll be close enough to get it done. We've had a spin at the back, and I think Tops has had a moment through Beckett's and Chapel. He's managed to get going again, so there won't be any VSCs or safety cars. But here we go then. Is Sinful Chris going to go for the move on his teammate in Brooklands? He's gaining and gaining, but he backs out of it, breaks it earlier, and decides to sit behind for now. We'll see if Havoc fancies the same move, as I think Apollo is now, is he now 2 laps down? Only a lap down, okay. Not 2 laps down, that would have been a wee bit depressing. But Havoc not close enough for the move. Sinful Chris nearly getting past Light Shock through Cops at turn 9, but in towards 10 and 11 of Maggots and Beckett's then. Is he going to go for the move this time, or is he going to do the same and back out, make Light Shock use all the ERS that he has to just stay ahead and then go for the move on the last lap? But he's going to be further ahead than he wants to be. In towards Stowe then, teammate versus teammate, P1 in the championship versus P2 in the championship, and Light Shock comes off ahead for now, but Sinful Chris already sending warning shots to his teammate as we head on to lap 24 of 26, 3 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. Brad now picks up a 3-second penalty for being a bit cheeky with the corner cutting and the track limits. Is Sinful Chris going to go for the move in towards Village? Not close enough for a lunge just yet, through turn 4 at the loop and in towards turn 5 at Abbey. Is he going to fancy it down the Wellington straight once again, or again will it be the cheeky tactic of sit behind, let him use his ERS? He does have the DRS and he's not using it, so he's sitting behind, conserving that ERS that he has. We'll see if they have basically equal amounts. So Light Shock might have pulled off a masterclass, switching to those tyres. Havoc is managing to get past Albini. They're going side by side through Brooklands and Luffield. Havoc being pushed to the outside where there's less grip on those marbles, and Albini managing to defend brilliantly and staying ahead for now. So Havoc may need to try and adopt the Sinful Chris strategy and just sit behind and bide his time. But here comes Chris again then. Is he going to fancy the move to the inside? He flies to the outside, lifts off. I think he might let Light Shock go. Oh, that's nearly contact. That's also close. Oh, that was very close between the two title contenders and teammates. But Chris then takes the lead as we head onto the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Havoc not close enough for the move on Albini either, so we'll stick on board with these two who have been fighting hammer and tongue all race just to see who can get the top step on the podium. Light Shock now will have the DRS on his teammate, so we'll see if he fancies the move. He also has the ERS advantage, not by much, but definitely has more. Is he going to sit behind? He's using that DRS flap wide open down the Wellington straight. Is he going to fancy a move on his teammate into Brooklands? Not close enough. just yet. Havoc nearly dropping out of Albini's DRS as Albini's finally decided to leave that battle in the dust, but we think Light Shock might be going for a last lap prayer to get past his teammate and possibly take the win as they head through Cops, all of them managing to keep it nice and clean. We'll quickly check warnings before we go on to the last straight that we have of the Hangers straight. Chris still on 2, Light Shock I think is still on 1, both only 1 warning away from throwing away a race win. But we'll see then, is Light Shock going to go for the move on his teammate? He's gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining into Stowe, but he breaks early and backs out, possibly trying to force Chris to go a little bit wide and use some of his ERS that he has saved up. So then, on to the last lap of this British Grand Prix then. Sinful Chris versus Light Shock, Alpha Tauri versus Alpha Tauri, teammate versus teammate. You can throw any superlative at it that you want. This is it, this is the race that we want to see. In towards turn 3 at Village, not close enough for a move just yet, only 3.5 tenths behind, up to 4 as they come into turn 4 of the loop. Into entry at turn 5, overtake enabled, DRS wide open. Is he going to fancy the move already? Into Brooklyn's Chris, not defending the inside, then he lets his teammate fly past on the inside, so Chris basically going for the mind games and thinking, I might try it round the outside or the inside at Stowe, but the lead switches hands once on the last lap. Will it change again as Light Shock takes the lead on the alternate strategy on his 10 lap old softs versus Chris's 12 lap old mediums through. Oh, that was close with track limits for Light Shock. But I think they both now have similar levels of ERS. It'll be a drag race to the line near enough. This Chris has went a little bit wide through Beckett's and Chapel. He's not going to be close enough for the move. I don't think both of them burning as much battery as they can. Is Chris going to go for the lunge? He does indeed on his teammate. Light Shock gives him the room. They both, oh, and there's contact. They're both round. They've collided. Light Shock's out of the race. Chris manages to hang on. There's drama at the end of the race. Light Shock hitting the barrier at the end, losing his wheel. There's contact between both of them. Sinful Chris takes the win in dramatic circumstances. Albini crosses the line, he'll take P2. Havoc does get his podium after all and gets P3. Brad will get a P4. In fact, Brad's run out of fuel. Drop down even, but I'm not sure how he's managed that. But Brad, running out of fuel tops, flies past him. He might lose out to his teammate Hunt as well, possibly even Long George, who's also ran out of fuel. So its tops will take P4. Brad might hang on to a P5 if he can quickly get over the line before Hunt gets near him, but Hunt also hits the fuel light flag. They've all ran out of fuel. Lucozade is going to snatch P7. I think Brad just managed to finish ahead of Hunt over the line. I don't think Gangster Al will be close enough to get near Long George for P8. So Long George will take P8. Gangster Al will manage to pick up 2 points in P9, and Apollo, I don't, he might, actually no he won't, because he's not going to pass it in time. So Apollo won't get any points and Light Shock will get that 1 point because he's managed to finish that many That was incredible. Out of all the endings that we could have had, 2 title rivals, 2 teammates, both colliding on the last lap. That is not how, I don't think that's how anyone wanted that to finish. Drama wise, good content, well done, but out of all the ways that could have finished, I don't think that's the way we wanted. But Sinful Chris then does, what's the word I'm looking for here? I've ran out of words. He does take the win. He just takes the win from Albini in P2. Him and Lightshock, the only ones not picking up penalties. Both AlphaTauri's managing to keep it clean right until the very end. Havoc managing to get a podium in P3. Tops managing to jump Brad after he ran out of fuel. So he takes P4. Brad manages to hang on in P5. Hun not able to get his teammate at the line and he takes P6. Lucas had managed to jump Long George after running out of fuel as well. So he'll take P7. Long George managed to hold on in P8. Gangster Al managing to pick up some points just at the end. Lightshock getting 2 points, one for the fastest lap, and then finishing in 10th because Apollo didn't come round in time and was a lap down. So he didn't get the move done, but out of all the ways that could have finished, it's Lightshock summing up his feelings in the chat. I mean, as a commentator, I want to be as impartial as possible. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let the stewards do what they want to do. But oh, of all the ways that ended, I don't think that's what anyone would. But I'm gonna go and try and find where I've put the rest of my throat soothers, because my voice is gone. So we'll let the stewards decide on the last lap drama. I've also just realised I commentator cursed it. It's gonna be like Red Bull and Baku, he said. Last lap collision between the teammates. Oh, that'll be a fun debrief. That'll be a fun debrief. But that is us for this week. I believe it's not a break week again next week. We will be back next Monday for the Hungaroring in Hungary, another wonderful track to race around. So we will be back round 12 for Hungary, same time, 8 PM. I've been your commentator. It's me, I'm Killian, the Scotsman who hung up the boots and decided that commentating was better than racing. But I will be back same time next week, 8 PM, Monday nights. We will see you all then.